Hi everyone, I hope you are doing well. So we're back, we're gonna do it again, So anyways, we're gonna do another video. I like to stay ahead. I don't like having to thrive on a deadline, even though I do it all the time. So anyways, I did take a little bit of a break, but you guys aren't gonna know that because I have so many videos. So anyways, nice and relaxed. I'm ready to get back into it. So let's do it. Today's video is titled A Restless Spirit. In the fall of 1886, people in Rockford were once again shocked by a very violent crime. The tragedy was made all the worse because the victim was the father of 3 small children, now left destitute by his death. Besides this aspect of the murder, the newspapers were filled with reports that the murdered man's troubled spirit haunted several places. Rumors claim that man was so troubled about leaving his family that he couldn't rest in peace. August Valentine, or Gus, as his friends called him, had no reason to suspect that Saturday would be different from any other day. He worked at Traherne Pump Works, where he was a supervisor over the iron melting department. Gus had been there for 14 years and was considered a very good employee by the owners and well liked by his co-workers. Some of them were Swedish like Gus, who had moved to the United States around 1866. Work had been routine on that Saturday, October 23rd, 1886. Gus finished up around 5 p.m. and walked over to Gerhardt Saloon on East State Street with a few of his friends from Traherne. He sat on the lunch counter and ordered a beer and one of the free lunches from the cook. He was enjoying his liver and rye bread when a commotion broke out in the back of the room. Later, witnesses would say that Gus ignored the fuss and continued with his food. 3 men that were part of the tussle came over to Gus and harassed him about eating all the free food, but Gus continued to ignore them. Gus finished his food and his beer, called out his compliments to the chef, said goodbye to his buddies, and left the saloon to walk to his home on the corner of 4th Street and 5th Avenue. He knew his wife, Sophie, would be waiting with her 3 children. Suddenly, the 3 men from the bar were there in front of him, refusing to let him pass. Gus tried to push his way through, and the men jumped on him and threw him to the ground. He passed out when his head hit the sidewalk, but a 12-year-old girl witnessed the attack. Olga Shaline would prove later to be a very good witness. She said that the 3 men threw Gus down and began to kick and choke him until they noticed her watching from across the street. The 3 men quickly escaped in the direction of Zion Lutheran Church. Several men heard the commotion and ran to aid Gus as the attackers fled the scene. Gus was coherent and able to stand with help, though he complained of pain from the beating. He had several cuts on his face and was bleeding so much that even the men who knew him didn't recognize him at first. By the first day, horrible bruises had formed on Gus's face, chest, and ribs. His neck was so swollen from the choking that he couldn't speak above a whisper, and as the day progressed, his breathing became labored. He seemed to realize early Monday morning that he would not recover. Gus became distressed and attempted to apologize to his wife, but she became very distraught and begged him not to leave her. Gus struggled to breathe until 4 a.m. on October 25th. He was only 48 years old. The autopsy would show that Gus had endured a horrible beating and was choked or kicked so savagely in the throat that the cartilage was fractured. The doctors who conducted his autopsy claimed they had never seen damage so severe. The 3 men who attacked Gus were found very quickly. They went on trial for his death, and in the end of January 1887, Judge Brown believed them when they stated that they didn't mean to kill Gus, but only to rough him up. During the sentencing, Judge Brown lectured them about the dangers of alcohol and their lack of comprehension of the damage that they caused to the family. The attackers were all very young. David Cregan was only 20 years old, and he and John Laban, who was 21, received 10-year sentences in Joliet. John Dixon, 17 years old, reportedly took no part in the actual beating but acted as a lookout. He received a 2-year sentence. Sophie and her children moved from the house where Gus died. She stated that she could no longer live there without her husband. The house was rented out, but stories started to circulate that Gus's spirit was heard in the room where he died. The sound of a man wailing and sobbing came quite regularly. Neighbors reported strange noises that came from the house when no one was home. Though Sophie tried to rent the rooms, these stories frightened away prospective renters. Other reports claimed that people would see a glowing light making its way through the house. And sometimes a figure was seen to pull back the curtains from the window and peer out as if searching for someone. Neighbors were terrified by the look of her sheer anguish on the face of the glowing specter. People also spoke of seeing Gus's ghost wandering the area surrounding the intersection of Kishwaukee Street and 2nd Avenue, where the attack took place. Reports varied, but most stated that the ghost appeared to be so solid that you would not realize it was a ghost until the form turned and you could see the look on the face. People who had known him were horrified to recognize Gus. The reports of the restless spirit of Gus Valentine continued in the newspapers for quite some time before fading away. Hopefully, Gus took comfort in the knowledge that the Traherne Company and the Zion Lutheran Church generously gathered donations to help Sophie and her children. And that is the end of that story, guys. So it's sad. Rockford's always been garbage, apparently, is what I'm finding out. And as bad as it is now and as worse as it has gotten in the last several years, it's always been there. I don't think it's just Rockford. I think other people just don't report as much shit. So I don't know. Once again, I don't know what it's like out there. I don't live anywhere else. I live here. So anyways, guys, if you liked my story, please give me a thumbs up. If you'd like to hear more stories like this, please subscribe. And as always, I hope you guys have a wonderful day. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.